In a small, idyllic village surrounded by rolling hills and whispering forests, lived a dog named Max. Max was a stray, wandering freely through the cobblestone streets and lush meadows. He was a friendly dog, loved by all for his playful nature and unwavering loyalty. The villagers often left out scraps of food for him, and he was a welcome sight at community gatherings. One day, a peculiar series of events began to unfold. Women in the village started to notice unusual symptoms. Rumors spread quickly, and soon it was discovered that several women were pregnant, despite having no recent contact with men. Panic and confusion swept through the village. The village healer, an elderly woman with a deep knowledge of herbs and folklore, was consulted. She conducted numerous tests and could find no logical explanation for the phenomenon. The women were perplexed and frightened, not understanding how such a thing could happen. The village council decided to investigate further. They gathered everyone together and asked if anyone had experienced anything out of the ordinary. Slowly, a strange pattern emerged. Each woman who was now expecting had, at some point, interacted with Max. At first, the idea seemed absurd. How could a dog cause such an occurrence? The council called upon a visiting scholar from a distant land, hoping for a rational explanation. The scholar, after much contemplation, proposed an ancient myth he had once read about a powerful spirit capable of transforming into different forms, including animals. Intrigued and desperate for answers, the villagers began to observe Max more closely. They noticed that wherever Max went, he was followed by an unusual calm and serenity. The healer speculated that perhaps Max was not an ordinary dog, but a manifestation of a protective spirit, inadvertently imparting blessings upon the women he encountered. As weeks turned into months, the pregnancies progressed normally. The women gave birth to healthy, robust children who bore an uncanny resemblance to one another. These children grew up to be remarkably kind-hearted and intelligent, possessing a unique bond with nature and the animals around them. The villagers accepted that Max was a special being, a guardian spirit sent to bless their community in an unconventional way. They cared for him with even greater reverence, ensuring he lived out his days in comfort and love. Max continued to wander the village, a silent protector and a beloved companion. The village thrived, forever grateful for the mysterious gift brought by the enigmatic dog that had forever changed their lives. The village had settled into a peaceful routine since the strange events surrounding Max. The children born from the miraculous pregnancies were growing up strong and healthy, and the villagers had come to accept Max as a protective spirit. However, a new issue was brewing beneath the surface. The men of the village, having initially been relieved and then mystified by the extraordinary situation, began to feel uneasy. They noticed their wives and daughters developing an unusual attachment to Max. The women often spent time with him, giving him more attention than ever before. Jealousy and insecurity started to fester among the men, who felt increasingly sidelined. One evening, a group of men gathered at the village tavern to discuss their concerns. They decided that it was time to confront the situation and restore normalcy. The next day, they approached their wives and daughters, pleading with them to stop spending so much time with Max. The women, amused by the men's sudden urgency, listened patiently. After a moment of contemplation, one of the village elders, a wise and respected woman named Alara, stepped forward to address the men. "Dear husbands and fathers," she began, "we understand your concerns. Max has become an important part of our lives, and we cherish the peace he has brought to our village. However, we also recognize that balance must be restored. We are willing to heed your request, but we have conditions." The men looked at one another, puzzled but hopeful. "What conditions?" one of them asked. Alara smiled kindly. "Each family must bring a dog into their home, not just any dog, but one that they will care for and love as we do Max, the presence of a loyal and affectionate pet will help maintain the harmony that Max has brought us. If you agree to this, we will ensure that Max is not the sole focus of our attention." The men discussed the proposal among themselves. Though initially hesitant, they realized that bringing dogs into their homes could indeed bring joy and companionship to their families. They agreed to the conditions set by the women. Over the next few weeks, the village transformed once again. Families adopted dogs from neighboring villages and animal shelters. The streets and fields filled with the joyous barks and playful antics of their new canine companions. The men, to their surprise, found themselves growing fond of their new pets, and the women kept their promise to balance their affections. Max, ever the calm and wise guardian, continued his peaceful wanderings. He seemed content to see the village thriving, with families united by their shared love for their new dogs. The harmony that he had brought remained, now strengthened by the bonds between the villagers and their loyal pets. The village flourished with a newfound sense of unity and understanding. The men and women, once divided by their feelings of jealousy and confusion, now found common ground in their affection for their dogs. And so, the spirit of Max lived on, in every wagging tail and joyful bark that echoed through the village, a testament to the mysterious and wonderful ways in which he had changed their lives forever. The village, once harmonious and filled with joy, was now on the verge of a grave mistake. The men's initial jealousy had subsided with the arrival of new dogs, but a lingering resentment toward Max festered among a few. They felt their authority had been undermined, and a dangerous idea took root. One night, under the cover of darkness, a small group of men gathered in secret. Fueled by misguided anger and a desire to reclaim their perceived lost honor, they decided to rid themselves of Max once and for all. Ignoring the village's reverence for him, they lured Max away from the village and, in a tragic act of violence, ended his life. The village awoke to an eerie silence the next morning. Max, who had always been seen roaming the streets, was nowhere to be found. The men kept their grim deed hidden, believing they had restored order. However, they were unaware of the true nature of the being they had wronged. Max had not been an ordinary dog. He belonged to a powerful magician who lived deep within the forest. This magician, an ancient and wise being named Thalion, had sent Max to the village to bring blessings and harmony. When Thalion discovered what had happened, his grief quickly turned to wrath. Thalion cast a powerful curse upon the village. The women, who had once been filled with joy and vitality, began to experience a bizarre and distressing phenomenon. Without warning, they started to exude water from their private parts. This water, though harmless, flowed uncontrollably and caused great discomfort and distress. Panic and confusion spread through the village like wildfire. The women, once vibrant and happy, were now fearful and desperate. The men, seeing the suffering of their wives and daughters, were racked with guilt and remorse. It didn't take long for them to realize that their heinous act had brought this curse upon their village. Desperate for a solution, the village turned to Elara, the wise elder. Elara, understanding the gravity of their actions, decided to seek out Thalion. She ventured into the forest, guided by whispers and ancient paths known only to a few. After a long and arduous journey, she finally reached Thalion's secluded dwelling. Elara knelt before Thalion, tears streaming down her face. "Great Thalion," she pleaded, "we beg for your forgiveness. The men acted out of ignorance and fear. Please, lift this curse and spare our village further suffering." Thalion, his eyes filled with sorrow and anger, considered her words. "Your village took an innocent life, a life sent to bring peace and prosperity. The curse will only be lifted if those responsible atone for their actions." Elara returned to the village with Thalion's message. The men who had committed the atrocity stepped forward, driven by guilt and the desire to make amends. They agreed to face Thalion and accept whatever punishment he deemed necessary. In a solemn procession, the men were led to Thalion's dwelling. There they knelt and begged for forgiveness. Thalion, seeing their genuine remorse, decided to grant them a chance at redemption. He tasked them with a series of arduous and selfless acts to restore balance and harmony to the village. The men worked tirelessly, performing acts of kindness and service to their fellow villagers and the natural world around them. Slowly, as they proved their sincerity, the curse began to lift. The women, once plagued by the strange affliction, returned to their normal lives. The village, forever changed by the ordeal, learned a valuable lesson about respect, unity, and the consequences of their actions. They honored Max's memory and the spirit of the magician Thalion, who had ultimately taught them the true meaning of harmony and forgiveness.